Hey everybody, it is so good to be back and come on live. It's been a while. I'm Michal LeBaron and I am your host here in the group Wholehearted Healing, the Chronic Illness Solution. And what I do is I teach my clients how to eliminate their autoimmune and chronic illnesses and chronic pain without the need for ongoing supplements, diets, or therapies. So my clients consistently have a full improvement in a few months, and they get back to and have a normal, healthy life. So it's been a while since I've come on live, and what I have been doing over the past few months is actually helping my local community in my town to bring an organization here to help the local businesses thrive and survive during these times. And we just reached our goal and launched this week, so I now have a little bit more time since I've been volunteering with that. I now have a little bit more time back in my days to come on live and to resume teaching you guys how to become fully healthy. And what many of you may not know, those who know me well know, but some of you may not know that at my worst, I was actually bedridden for a few years, and I had seen dozens of doctors, specialists, holistic, natural, integrative, functional medicine practitioners and healers, and I didn't really find answers. They all kind of had their one-size-fits-all system or approach or test or diet or supplement regime, but nobody was actually asking why I became ill in the first place, why I developed my chronic illnesses, and nobody really got to the root cause and told me how to get back to normal and how to become fully healthy again. And so before I dive into a little bit of my story today, I just wanted to share with you, because I always do little daily doses of how to be a healthy person and what my life looks like as a healthy person. So I am a person who loves art, and one of the things that I recently got into is starting to learn to do pastel art. So this was my first one, and I watched a video demo, and it looks much better on the video, I think, than it does in person, but I'm getting there, and this one I just completed today. So on my lunch break, I make sure that I do something I enjoy to fill my cup back up. So not too shabby. This is my second one, and let me tell you, my fingers get all messy from this stuff. But just a friendly reminder for those of you, usually we are the ones who put ourselves last and who caretake and put everyone else first, and we don't do the things that we enjoy, and oftentimes we haven't done those things in a very long time. So before I became a healthy person and knew how to regulate my nervous system and be healthy, I didn't make time for stuff like this. I didn't make time to do the things that I enjoy, to play my violin, or to go exploring the outdoors, or to do my nails. You know, everything came last for me, and I was always in a rush. So I just wanted to come on, and it's been a while. I wanted to catch up with you guys, and then it dawned on me that not many of you maybe know that I too was really sick, and I have very seldomly seen a client that was actually as worse off as me. So I am so happy to help you guys, and those of you who are very sick and very ill and can't eat anything, and you're allergic to everything, and you have a million autoimmune diseases, and the doctors don't know what to do with you, and I love helping you guys. So part of my story is I had symptoms ever since I was a little kid. In fact, I can look back at pictures or videos. Remember the VHS videos with the huge video cameras. So we have some family memories on there, and I can always look back, and in the pictures, I always have a memory of being sick. So it was either, wow, I felt really fat that day, or it was, wow, I was really tired, or it was, I was reacting to the food, or it was, I had a headache, or wow, I felt really swollen and bloated. So looking back as a kid, I always had the kind of traces of symptoms throughout my life. And was about 10 or 12 years old, they kind of started ramping up. And I would go through phases where my joints would pop out of place. So some of the answers, I have some genetic disorders, I was autoimmune, a whole host of different things. But part of the symptoms were, I'd sneeze and like a rib would pop out, and it was very, very painful. And so I was like in pain. I had to go to the chiropractor. I had to like quit my swim team. And I would just kind of have these phases where I was like just not well. And doctors said my lab tests were normal, as do most of my clients' doctors. And, but I didn't know the doctors weren't running hardly any tests at all, because it seemed like they were running a lot. They said they were running a lot. But this happened for a couple years where on and off, I just like, I was ill, and then it'd kind of go away and I'd get back to a normal life, and then it would happen again. And it was kind of a cyclical thing. And then when I was 13 or 14, I just didn't get better. So I had one of those phases where I was ill, and then it was like 1 month, and then I didn't get better. And then it was like 2 months, and then it was 3, and then it was 4, and then it was 5, and then it was 6. And I think at 6 months, I ended up going to the ER, because I had like passed out and had like some crazy weird symptom. And what the ER doctors told us were, well, it's probably some weird virus, and she can go back to school in a couple days, and do you need a doctor's note? And that's when, without doing, like, I think they maybe did 1 or 2 tests, if that, that's when my family and all kind of looked at each other like, these people don't know what they're talking about, and they're clearly missing something. So we started trying all the different natural doctors, chiropractors. We did the heavy metal tests, and we did the heavy metal detoxes, and we did the elimination diets, and we did supplements, and we took out sugar and gluten and dairy, and we, we kept playing with all this stuff. And so there were 2 pieces that really helped me, and helped me get from bedridden to at least kind of back to somewhat functional. And number 1 was functional medicine, and number 2 was emotional healing. So let's talk about functional medicine first, because that's my background and training, even though what I do now is very different from that, and I will share why. So in functional medicine, the light bulb came on for me, and this was probably after 1.5 to 2 years of being bedridden. My mother described me as resembling a 90-year-old woman. So many of you, I hear comments a lot, how can you be an expert? You look like you just turned 20, or you look like you're in your early 20s. And the truth is I am in my 30s, but I look younger now than I did then, because I basically found how to reverse the clock by becoming healthy again and helping my cells become healthy and youthful instead of aging and degenerating. So with functional medicine, I learned to read my blood work, and I learned that regular doctors are looking at disease ranges. They're not looking at if you're healthy or not. They're not looking at why you have symptoms. They're looking to see if they can diagnose you with a disease and therefore give you medical treatment, such as a medication or a surgery. So I learned that these ranges were much different today than they were 100 years ago, even though human physiology isn't much different today than 100 years ago. Human bodies work the way human bodies work. So doctors 100 years ago, the medical ranges that they would compare your test results to were based on science. They were based on medical textbooks. They were based on research of this is what a human body should function at. And anything outside of that range creates symptoms. And so today, those ranges are based on averages of whoever gets their blood drawn in a certain region or clinic. So who gets their blood drawn? Sick, medicated, and old people. Just saying it like it is. And for example, the cholesterol numbers, everyone who gets their cholesterol checked regularly is on cholesterol lowering meds. So the average for the cholesterol numbers has actually gone way down. And that's why more and more people are getting diagnosed with high cholesterol, whereas 100 years ago, maybe half those people would be diagnosed with cholesterol. And we know that just high cholesterol alone isn't a risk factor. It's actually the inflammation and the quality of the cholesterol and a whole bunch of other things that determine if you're at risk. So other numbers have been skewed as well. And this changes from clinic to clinic. So early on, Sorry for my timeline. But once I became a functional nutritionist, probably 10 to 13 years ago, I saw this client. I knew they had a thyroid disorder. I knew it. They had every symptom in the book. So I said, go to your doctor, get these tests. This was before I could get people tests. So I said, get these tests. So the doctor ran her tests and told her she was normal. She had no thyroid issues at all. I said, no way in HE double hockey sticks is that true. No way in hell. Go get a second opinion. So she went to a different doctor 3 days later. 2 miles down the road was where his clinic was. He reran her blood work 3 days later, and he diagnosed her with a full-blown disease and prescribed her medication. So even amongst just conventional medicine, even the discrepancies from doctor to doctor are vast. So this is why the light bulb came on, and I started getting real hope when I found functional medicine, because I learned that I could actually look at functional ranges and look at the same blood work that had already been run and actually see things in it that were there the whole time, that were in my face the whole time. So I started getting little answers. Okay, I don't digest my proteins. My blood sugar was whacked out. My adrenals were exhausted. I had a chronic infection, bacterial, that showed up in my blood work that my doctor ran, but he didn't tell me. That's where I discovered I had a genetic liver condition that has shown up in my blood work ever since I was a baby, even in the doctor's range, and they didn't tell me about it. The reason why is in the US, it's considered benign. There's no medications for it here, but in a lot of other countries, there's a ton of research, there's treatments, and they say anybody with this condition suffers with these symptoms. Well, guess what? That fit me to the T. So I started finding real clinical answers in the blood work that the doctors had ran that they were ignoring. And I started addressing them. Now, I like to say that was kind of like playing whack-a-mole. So a symptom pops up, whack, right? If I had food allergies. I had a lot of them. I pretty much reacted to everything except for a handful of foods. But you have food allergies, okay, take the food out. You have a bacterial infection, okay, kill off the bacteria. I started liver condition, support the liver. Can't digest my proteins, I took a supplement for that. Now, while that helped me some of the time, it actually kept me stuck for many, many years, for over a decade. And I'll share more about that later. But let's talk about, I started getting better, I started getting out of bed, I started having answers that made me feel better immediately after searching for them for so many years, with the doctors not knowing anything, holistic practitioners just kind of saying, here's this oil, here's this herb, here's this nutrient, here's this diet, but not really having a rhyme or reason to why they were telling me to do that. The other thing that I found was emotional healing. I had a friend, Cynthia Rendon, God bless her heart, I would not be here without her. She had breast cancer that had gone into remission. So when she heard that I had been sick and nobody knew the answers, she came over to share her story with me. And what she shared was that you're only as sick as your deepest secret, and it pissed me off so bad. But she said, I got diagnosed with cancer. I was fully healthy, and I got breast cancer within 3 months of my husband dying suddenly and unexpectedly. And there is a real scientific connection between our emotions and traumas and what's going on inside of us and our physical health. And she shared with me everything she had been researching for years, what got her into remission. She really, really encouraged me to look at the emotional piece. So while I was really pissed off and not open, I couldn't unhear what she shared with me. And so I was ruminating on it for about 3 days. And I thought to myself, what if it's not my own secrets? What if it's like my childhood stuff? Or what if it's like, yeah, I've had traumas. Like, what if it is all of that I hold with me and maybe hold in my body? And so I got with her and I started learning how to release stored emotions and how to address and switch those negative beliefs that we have about ourselves and some of those more unconscious things. And within a week of starting to emotionally heal, I went back to the chiropractor because I had to go every single week, if not multiple times a week, for him to put me back together. Because I was jaundiced, my cerebrospinal fluid wouldn't move. So he would have to move the plates, the bones in my head. He'd have to like pump them to get the cerebrospinal fluid to move in my spine. My intestines would always be in knots. It was kind of like they were sticky because I was autoimmune, and they'd always be like in knots, in clusters in my stomach. And he'd have to like massage my stomach and get my intestines out of knots. And he would I'm gonna have to move you guys because of my battery. So walk with me while we continue talking. So 1 week after I started emotional healing, what he told me was, "What the heck did you do this week?" I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, you're not jaundiced." I was jaundiced every day for months. He said, "You're not jaundiced. Your intestines are not in knots. You have a smile on your face. You're looking me straight in the eyes," because I felt really disconnected at that time. He said, you don't have 5 ribs out. Like, what the heck did you do? For 6 months, I've seen you every single week, and I have to put you back together every single week except for this one. And it really showed me. What I did is I looked at him in the eyes and I smiled and I said, "I'm healing my heart." And so that was the start of my journey down this rabbit hole of holistic healing. And okay, so that got me out of bed. Then I went to school as soon as I could. I actually got accepted into a master's program for holistic nutrition by age of 16. So y'all wonder how I look so young. I got started really early because after this experience when I was a very early teenager of being so sick, not getting answers anywhere, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to give people the same gift of hope and health and healing. And ever since I was little, I knew I always wanted to work with people. I knew I wanted to bring them hope or happiness or something. So I was like, this is perfect. This is perfect for me. I love anatomy and physiology. I would always ask my mom, "What is a grapefruit?" And she'd be like, "It's a fruit." And I'm like, "No, like, what is it?" Like, I wanted to know like the molecular structure. I wanted to know like the components of it and how it grew. And that's just how I was. So this was perfect. Not only did it mean something to me and I wanted to save my own life, because I really was on my deathbed for a couple of years with organs shutting down. I think my heart was operating at like 80% or less. My liver was like 60%, and my intestines were not operating well. So I was like scared to death, and on my deathbed with no answers. And here I am. So I knew that's what I wanted to do. I got accepted into the master's program, and I was doing high school at home. My mom homeschooled me while I was healing, and then I did this master's program partially online, and then my mom would drive me to Denver to attend some classes. God bless her heart. So then I started working with clients. First, I became a nutritionist. I got a master's in nutrition, and I was attending functional medicine seminars since age 16 on, and freaked people out because I was so young. And so I started practicing and seeing clients, and it's amazing what just the functional model did, what playing whack-a-mole did. There were clients that went to the Mayo Clinic, and Mayo Clinic couldn't help them. And so a friend knew about my story, knew this person, knew that the Mayo Clinic couldn't help, and said, "Just talk with Michal." So I said, "Well, I don't know. You've been to the Mayo Clinic. I don't know if I can help, but I sure will do my best. Send me over the medical file." So she sends me over this medical file, and I was just going through every page and reviewing, what did the doctors miss? What did they test? What are the functional ranges? Is there any like dots that I can connect? Is there anything missing? Within about half an hour, I called her up, this woman, and I said, "What did the Mayo Clinic doctors do about your Lyme bacteria?" She had 2 strains of Lyme, like Lyme's disease, Lyme bacteria, and they were off the charts. So a normal range is under 30, and hers were in the thousands, both of them. I had never seen numbers this high. And I knew that meant her immune system was going haywire. So happens all her symptoms kind of line up with Lyme disease and being autoimmune. So I said, "What did they do for this? Did you get treatment for this already?" And because I didn't see anything in the file, I didn't see any treatment information. And she said, no, they wouldn't treat me because in order to get a diagnosis of Lyme's disease, you have to have 4 strains of Lyme bacteria out of lab range. And so because I only had 2, they didn't do anything. So that was when I really started realizing, it's probably about 10 years ago or more, holy crap, like what I do for people is really valuable. They are not getting what they need in conventional medicine or holistic medicine. And so it's simply just by looking at the real numbers and thinking logically and running enough tests that we're able to find answers. There isn't any mystery. All symptoms have a real root cause happening now inside people. And when those root causes are addressed, their symptoms go away. So for 6 years, I was teaching functional medicine. I was walking my clients through a process of emotional healing, holistic health and living lifestyle, and also, functional medicine, like testing and finding the right answers, and then actually putting together a plan that addresses those issues. Not just some random plan that you apply to everybody, but a custom plan based on whatever the lab tests find. So 6 years in or so, I started wondering if I was actually healthy or if I was still a chronically sick person that was just managing and suppressing symptoms every day. So based on the whack-a-mole approach, I was gluten-free, dairy-free, corn-free, soy-free, GMO-free, lectin-free, nightshade-free. I was organic. I was pesticide-free. I had a water purifier. I had an air purifier. I had boatloads of supplements I would take every day. I would go to bed on time. You name it. I was like living in a bubble, and I was micromanaging my lifestyle. But thank God I wasn't in bed. I was still having symptoms every day, but at least they were manageable. So I got used to my symptoms, and I thought I was healthy. And what I used to teach people for years was, I can tell you how to be symptom-free as long as you do what I say, like do what you need, your body needs, and you don't do what's harming your body, you can be symptom-free. And that was life in a bubble. That was life playing whack-a-mole every single day. And so it started not making sense to me, like this isn't me being a normal, healthy person. This is me as a sick person having a million crutches and a wheelchair. I wasn't in crutches and a wheelchair, but that's like the supplements and the diets. Like this doesn't seem normal. This doesn't seem healthy. There must be something missing. And I would watch my clients that would go on these diets or these detoxes or the oils, or they would do whatever method, the chiropractor, the massage therapist, physical therapy. They do exercises or yoga, or, we have all these things that we have to do in order to suppress and manage our symptoms. And I'd watch them be on this roller coaster. And the roller coaster was they'd get better for a little while and then they'd flare up. Or then after the holidays, right, everyone has to go on a cleanse because they've gained so much weight and they feel so bad again. And I would watch them do this roller coaster thing, and they'd get better, but then they'd have to come back to me and we'd have to start over. And then they'd finally wean off their supplements maybe, and then they'd feel better for a while and then they'd get worse. And then they'd have to come and they'd have to start all the supplements and the detoxes and the diets and the cleanses again. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. We're missing something. We really are just applying a Band-Aid to the problem. So as humbling as it was, I had to ditch everything that I knew, master's in nutrition, hundreds of hours in functional medicine training, dozens of certifications in different holistic therapies, techniques, approaches, this immunology, functional neurology, functional gastroenterology, all that stuff. Had to ditch it out the window and say, if I am not actually healthy, then I do not know how to teach people how to be healthy. And I had to start over. That was a little bit of a crisis for me. Like, what am I teaching people? This isn't getting us to be healthy. So I started researching, and what I learned is that your body function, well, let me ask you, what controls your body? Your brain and nervous system. We know this. I didn't find anything new in my research. I just connected dots that hadn't been connected and found the missing pieces. So in your nervous system, there's two branches. There's fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system, and there's resting and digesting, growth and repair, parasympathetic nervous system. Well, for all my years teaching functional medicine, we found that everybody that had chronic illness was in fight or flight. We would call it sympathetic dominance. But all we knew to tell them was do yoga, do deep breathing, try to manage your stress better, like all the pat answers. Maybe do some acupuncture, maybe get into Tai Chi, maybe go outside with your, bare feet and get grounded. And this provided very little support for people, including myself. So fast forward, within 3 months of regulating my nervous system and turning my parasympathetic nervous system on, I reintroduce all foods. I could eat anything after a decade of being very strict and limited, and I didn't react, and I didn't flare up. And I was like waiting, what's the catch? And it didn't come. And then I took a trip to Florida, and my brother's like a McDonald's person, and so all week long, we went to McDonald's, and I'm like, oh my God, McDonald's, don't you know what's in this? And I was like, I'm healthy, take a deep breath. I'm here to be with my brother, ate a McDonald's burger, no reaction. I was like, gosh, if I would have eaten this 6 months ago, I would have been in bed for a month. No joke. No freaking joke. I would have been having nerve pain. I would have had digestive issues. I would have had hormone issues. I would have been inflamed. I would have gained weight. I would have maybe thrown up. I would have had extreme fatigue. I would have had brain fog, just like severe reactions. So all my allergies went away. I didn't make antibodies anymore. They didn't show up in tests, nothing. They were gone. We went to Chuck E. Cheese, all week long we were eating this way. And that's, I think, when it set in, when I had a whole week of not eating healthy and I was still healthy. It was like breaking my brain because it went against everything I was taught in holistic health and conventional medicine. Allergies don't go away. Those are a life sentence. Autoimmunity doesn't go away. Genetic disorders don't go away. Those are a life sentence. The best you can do is manage them. So this was like blowing my mind. So, I wasn't having symptoms every day. I wasn't having headaches every day. I wasn't having digestive issues every day. My hormone, all symptoms went away. And this continued. And I flare up maybe once or twice per year. And I easily know how to find what was happening, the stressor. And as soon as I work through it or identify it, within minutes, usually my symptoms are gone. So I don't have to go to the medicine cabinet. I don't have to pound, a bunch of turmeric or anti-inflammatories or painkillers. I know how to keep my body healthy without needing anything out here. So within 3 months, my whole life changed. And I was like, oh my gosh, regulating the nervous system is the key nobody's talking about. And doctors even say that 98% of chronic disease is from stress. That's their statistics. But nobody's talking about how to actually resolve stress. The real stress, not just like the buzzword stress, like real tangible actual stress and stressors in your life and in your body, how to resolve those. And we are capable of that. So when the body is in the parasympathetic 24/7, your body is able to self-repair 24/7. In fight or flight, the blood flow goes away from your viscera. So your digestion shuts off. So you need digestive supplements. You can't detox, which means you store in your body chemicals and toxins and heavy metals and pesticides. And so you can't handle those. I was like chemically sensitive, so I had to avoid like the scented aisle in the grocery store. I had to have non-scented, non-toxic products for like cleaning, personal care, shampoo, deodorant. I couldn't have real deodorant, because I'd react to it. So, my whole life changed. Your immune system is in your viscera. 90% of that's in your gut. And so you shut your immune system down. So then we become autoimmune and we develop allergies. Everything changes. All functions become compromised. And when we're in stress mode and fight or flight mode and we're pumping out cortisol and adrenaline, those are stress hormones. What happens is our nutrient requirements skyrocket because we burn through magnesium, we burn through our B vitamins, we burn through vitamin C, all our nutrients. So then we need to intake so many more nutrients than our soil or our foods can provide. So then we have to add multivitamins and multiminerals and whole food supplements and all of those superfoods because our bodies need more. So in the parasympathetic, I've gotten off of all supplements and I don't flare up and I don't feel depleted and my nutrient levels are normal and optimal. It's extraordinary because my body just absorbs what it needs from food. So everything I had studied, my master's in nutrition, all the functional medicine training, all the dozens of certifications and other holistic techniques and therapies, all of that was for people who live in fight or flight and who are staying in fight or flight and how to whack-a-mole their symptoms to suppress them and manage them. And in the parasympathetic, what I discovered is that none of that is needed. And I became fully, completely healthy. My genetic disorders went away. My autoimmune disease and markers went away. I think I counted once and I had over 100 symptoms, illnesses, or conditions that I had the diagnostic criteria for that I no longer had the diagnostic criteria for. So in order for a doctor to diagnose you with a disease or condition, it has to be either a certain lab test or a certain list of symptoms. All of that went away. So I no longer qualify for those permanent disorders. They would never know that I ever had those at one point in time. All damage was reversed in my body. And so to talk about turning back the clock and looking younger now than I did then, it's because I'm healthy and I'm youthful and that doesn't come in a bottle. And so I'm just back to a normal, healthy lifestyle. So I started teaching my clients how to do this. And part of that is asking, well, what's controlling the nervous system? Something must be controlling the nervous system to be in fight or flight all the time because some of us get chronic illness and we live through life stressors and challenges, and other people don't develop chronic illness and they live through the same stresses and challenges in life and traumas even. And so what's the difference? And I like to say it's me. It's what's going on unconsciously. It's my perception and how I see myself and feel about myself and how I view my memories. And if I have unresolved conflicts, that feeds and turns on the sympathetic nervous system. And I started looking at having personal integrity. I thought I was a person of integrity before this, but I realized I was in all the big ways, but it was the tiny ways that I make thousands of decisions a day. And most of them when I was unhealthy was just going through the motions, or it was doing whatever was quick and easiest. It wasn't putting myself first and honoring myself. It was grabbing a quick shake instead of making myself a good breakfast that I would prefer to eat. It's like, nah, your preferences don't matter. Just do the quick and easy thing and get out the door to work. It was hitting snooze instead of getting up when I said I would get up and when I wanted to get up. It was speeding in the car and not stopping at stop signs. All the ways I thought didn't really matter. Well, we can't lie to our nervous system. So every time I go against myself hundreds to thousands of times a day, the little things I think don't matter. Not washing out my water cup because it's just water and it's just me. I'm not sharing germs with anybody. I wouldn't wash out my water cup. I'd drink out of it for days, if not weeks. Every single time I did that, it actually registered an imbalance. My nervous system registered an imbalance. Something is not right here. And it built real stress in my body. And that fed the sympathetic nervous system and being on. Because now my life doesn't really look different. It's not like I have so much more money or my family relationships are less challenging or any of those things. My life looks the same on the outside, but I'm not experiencing it as stressful. I'm not living with anxiety and panic attacks or depression and exhaustion and burnout. My perception and how I viewed and experienced my whole life changed when I was coming from vacation mode, from the parasympathetic. resting, digesting, growth, and repair, where I know everything's going to be okay. And I have that sense of calm and peace of mind. Sympathetic is like fight or flight. I'm not going to be okay. Something's wrong. It needs fixed. I don't have what I need. I'm constantly going. I never have enough time. I'm on a runaway train. So when we deal with what's going on inside of us and we build up resilience or peace of mind or internal health, we're able to handle the conflicts and the stressors and resolve them very quickly. And it's that internal peace of mind and that self-value we have of ourselves and putting ourselves first that feeds the parasympathetic and keeps it turned on. So I didn't need acupuncture. I didn't need deep breathing. I didn't need yoga. I used to gargle to stimulate my vagus nerve, to stimulate, my midbrain, to calm that down, to, turn on my parasympathetic. And that was a short fix. I might get 15 to 30 minutes of peace of mind with that. But it was just, I was living every life slowed down and committed to myself and working through my stressors as they came up and putting myself first and doing the things that I enjoy and then seeing my changes and growth and celebrating those breakthroughs and those wins. And that's what my life became, was that, which is, and parenting myself instead of taking shortcuts like hitting snooze 5 times or checking out and scrolling on my phone and scrolling on Facebook. I was instead engaged in going exploring or doing artwork or doing the dishes or asking myself, what would make me feel good about myself? What is me doing my best in this situation? I started actually shaving my legs, ladies, and washing my hair, and not speeding in the car. And it's like my whole life came to be a very peaceful, manageable experience for me. So becoming healthy for me wasn't even about my symptoms then. It was much more about accepting myself and belonging to myself, putting myself first, and having a good, healthy relationship with myself instead of treating myself harshly and beating myself up and being a perfectionist and some of those things. And so it's really the peace of mind is extraordinary with this. So that's what I began teaching my clients. And then very quickly, I saw this pattern that number one, every single one of them had an unresolved conflict or a life-changing event that within 3 months prior to developing their illness, they didn't work through. So by working through that stressor, it was a core piece of the puzzle. By teaching them to work through minor stressors, the stuff we deal with every day that's just obnoxious, not fair, overwhelming, it's like the surprising events that we, have to deal with. The car breaks down, unexpected bills, kids get hurt, you lose your job or the boss changes the policy, the lady chops off too much of your hair. It's going to take 6 months to grow out. It's those things, the holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, those stressors, and then developing personal integrity and putting themselves first and kind of those things I talked about, that within 3 months of just getting awareness around that and working through those things, other people too are getting well in that same amount of time. So it didn't matter how bad somebody was or how mild their symptoms were, the body is able to rapidly repair. And we are designed to be in the parasympathetic. We are not designed to stay in fight or flight all the time, and the body repairs rapidly. So I've done 1 million detoxes from learning to be a nutritionist and trying to heal myself. I've done 1 million detoxes. I know what it feels like. Well, when I started to turn on my parasympathetic nervous system, I began detoxing. And I was like, this is intense. Like, what is this? I'm not taking milk thistle. I'm not drinking dandelion tea. I'm not on a detox supplement or powder, and I'm naturally detoxing. I was like, my body really can do this. Through all of those years of not having answers, I lost trust for myself and I lost trust for my body. And I felt like a prisoner in my body. I felt like I was stuck in a body that didn't work, in a body that was broken and it didn't support me. And I was constantly afraid, especially if I got a new symptom. Oh God, what's wrong now? how bad is it? Is it cancer? How long is it going to last? Am I going to be like this forever? I mean, you almost have PTSD about having your symptoms. And now I restored trust in my body that it can heal. And I learned that every symptom I had was a message to me. And once I learned what those messages were and what they meant and what stressors I wasn't working through, they became my best friend and teacher of how to be healthy, how to support myself, how to feel good in my body, in myself, in my life. And they became an ally. And then quickly they went away and symptoms were no longer part of my identity, which was weird. I kind of was like, well, who am I? I've been sick for so long. I don't even know what my life's about now. But they no longer became a part of my life. And I began for the first time to get to know who I was just as a normal, healthy person. Like, who is Michal without the need for all of these restrictions in her life? What does she want to do? What does she enjoy? Let's go do that. Let's go try it out. And so that's one of my favorite things to do, is to help clients let go of that identity around being a sick person and learn to trust their body again. And and it's just a really beautiful thing. So that's why I am beyond functional medicine. That's why out of any conventional or holistic medicines, I've lost all faith. They make no sense to me anymore. It's just a Band-Aid approach. It's whack-a-mole. That's exhausting. And I love teaching my clients how to become fully healthy. So I hope that is helpful for you guys. If you want my help, I can, tag me below. Let me know what symptoms or illnesses you're dealing with. Feel free to private message me if you want it to be hush-hush and not in the public group. Happy to send you resources in the group to help you learn what kind of the real root causes you need to address to become fully healthy. And just remember, when you're fully healthy, you are not codependent on any supplement, any herb, any diet, any chiropractor, any body worker, any outside thing to keep you healthy. You just are. You just are healthy, and that's available to you and available to you rapidly. I feel like my body was just begging for me to find these answers for so many years, and it was relieved when I stopped shoving tons of supplements down my throat, because that's a lot of crazy messages, to try to force your body to do different things when really it just wants to regulate itself and get in its own rhythms. And so it can be harsh and hard on the body to have supplements, and it can even interrupt your body's natural healing process when we put ourselves on restricted diets, supplements, and other different types of outside therapies and remedies, because it's one more thing for the body to work on. And I've got a great video on that in the group if you want it. So anyway, I've got to get going to my next appointment, but I wanted to spend some time with you guys this afternoon, share a little bit of my story, share my artwork with you. And I also wanted to let you know I'm booking up quickly. So I probably only have about 7 appointments left in May. So if you want me to review your lab tests to see what your doctors have missed or what they've run or what those answers are from a functional medicine side, or if you want to dive in with me, and I'm happy to talk with you to help you find what were those stressors that turned on your illnesses, what are those unresolved conflicts that you need to work through, what does this look like for you so you can get unstuck and help your body rapidly repair, definitely book with me as soon as possible. I fill up quickly, and I will post my booking link in the comments below so you can find that. And I look forward to talking to you and helping you guys this summer become fully healthy and symptom-free in a few months. That's my favorite thing to do now. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of the day, and hopefully you're enjoying some sunshine wherever you are on the planet. And I will talk to you guys very soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.